listening to Oprah Radio.
The Derrick Ashong Experience is your chance to be a part of the conversation. Call us now at 866-OPRA-XM, 866-677-2496.
That's right, y'all. Yo, we're here talking about Tiger Woods and the apology that he made yesterday afternoon and what people think about him. We are having some controversy. Things are blowing up over here. Carol LF on Facebook says this is taking the subject to a whole other level. I believe he violated his family by cheating, but to say it's natural for men to do this is just going too far. I'm gonna jump on this real quick because Eric called earlier and he said, like, hey, you know, guys, when they're single and they be having a lot of girlfriends, everyone thinks that they're the man. They're great. It's almost exalted in our society. But if the guy is married, then he becomes considered a sex addict. And the thing that I want to point out is we can all agree that what Tiger did was wrong in violating his vows. But the thing that I feel like never gets discussed is the fact that this is all over the place. If you go and you see a well-known artist or a well-known athlete, you will see people throwing themselves at this person. I've seen friends of mine who are pissed at what Tiger did literally flip out when they saw some famous dude. And this young woman, let's say if she were to get with that guy, and let's say he's married and she were to do it, we just heard a caller say that, well, she sees a little differently when looking at the woman than she does looking at the guy. Now, I don't want to say that what Tiger did is right, but I don't understand why no one is talking about the fact that people are literally throwing themselves at these athletes, these leaders, these thinkers, whatever, because of their fame and fortune, and we're not interrogating that side of the equation. Is Tiger Woods a sex addict, or is he just a rich dude? Becky, what do you think?
Well, Derrick, it's a pleasure to speak to you. I enjoy your show.
Thank you for calling.
To address the issue of Tiger Woods, several things to consider.
Mm-hmm.
I understand he's a very rich and very important man.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that my perception at this point is that he is sorry he got caught.
Yep.
Pure and simply because to have as many multiple affairs as he did, it isn't something that just happened.
Yeah.
There's a very repetitive, very, very repetitive nature.
It's a pattern.
There is a very definite pattern there, and in that conference yesterday, he admitted that he had been raised with different values than what he's following now.
Yes.
And as far as my perspective, I have been married going on 50 years.
Okay.
To one man.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My perception is that you make wedding vows to one person. If you are not ready to make those vows to one person, don't make them.
You know, Becky, that is an amazing point, and that is kind of one of the things that I was hoping someone would say. I've seen it coming a little bit through my Ustream, this idea that, well, if you didn't want to get married, you shouldn't have got married. And I think that's really the bottom line, right? And that's the response to what Eric said earlier. The issue is we don't exalt a guy who does this stuff once he's married, because when he's married, he promised he wouldn't. Now, I think that we need to talk a little bit more deeply about these sort of things, though, because we can't have our cake and eat it, too. I've personally seen women who are well-educated and smart and good approach guys who are famous and wealthy who they know are married and still somehow be intimating that something might be possible. Now, I don't know what happens behind closed doors. I always mind my own business. But it takes two to tango. And apparently, there have been a lot of people trying to tango with Tiger. Do I think he's sorry? Maybe. I think he's sorry that he got caught. I think that he's sorry that this all blew up and it's ruining his career. I think that if he hadn't been caught, he would have kept doing what he was doing. And I think that if we really want to find a solution and we really want to think about, well, how do we have athletes and famous and exalted people who we can admire and they can be role models, we need to consider all sides of the equation. Are we going to admire this person just because they're well known? Because sometimes that admiration turns into the tawdry. And if they screw up, are we going to crucify them because they're well known when we see that these things are happening in our very own backyards on a daily basis? Je ne sais pas. That is French for I don't know. Thank you for talking about this. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to flip the script a little bit. We're going to get into some conversation on artistry. We're going to talk to an amazing photographer that has taken some things that you couldn't possibly imagine. We'll be back. You listen to the Derrick Ashong Experience.
I can't stand the rain against my window.
You're listening to Oprah Radio.
Please stand by. You are listening to the Derrick Ashong Experience.
Yo, this is iDNA, Derrick Ashong. You're listening to the Derrick Ashong Experience. I am in the studio. We've been talking about amazing stuff. We just came off a conversation about Tiger Woods. We're going to get into some more interesting things momentarily. But first, I have to announce to you all that I am being tormented in the studio as we speak because they're in the control booth eating cookies. Scott Miller has got a mouthful of cookies as we speak. Am I correct, Scott?
No, Derrick. Yes.
I can see you chewing. I hear the in your voice.
Would you like some? We can bring some into you.
I would love to have some cookies.
We'll be right in.
But I'm not allowed to chew on the air.
You can't eat on the air. You're a professional.
A professional. I'm hungry. Man, listen, you guys, we're going to work on this together, okay? I want you to think about ways in which we convince the broadcast industry that it is acceptable to chew cookies on the radio. I mean, seriously, it'll be groundbreaking. Whoever does this, you could hear me in here munching. You would feel so good in yourselves that, oh my God, Derrick Ashong is inspiring me to eat chocolate chips. We could do this together, y'all. I'm going to just put it out there. I'm going to put it out there. We'll talk about it next week. All right. Well, I have the distinct pleasure of getting the chance to talk a little bit more about one of my favorite topics, which is artistry. And we did get a chance to speak with Lee Daniels earlier, Oscar-nominated director of the movie Precious, which is based on the novel Push by Sapphire. Precious is nominated for 6 Academy Awards, and that is wonderful to get. It was wonderful to get the vision of a filmmaker on his movie and what kind of story he was trying to convey. Well, there are many ways to tell a story, right? There are many ways to tell a story, and sometimes that story can be told musically, sometimes it can be told through audio, as you can hear as you listen to me on the radio. But also it can be told in images and pictures. It's funny because some of you watch on Ustream every week, and they're asking on Ustream, where's my bagel? For those who are listening on the radio, I always have a bagel, which is always inevitably uneaten because I don't get to eat on the air, and it sits on the table and it says, hi to you. And I don't have a bagel today, which is why I'm staring at those cookies. Anyway, for those who are into visual arts, whether it be the images of my bagel or of this shiny forehead on your Ustream channel, we have the chance to talk to a really profound visual artist, a photographer who has managed to take some of the most iconic photos that we know of. Matt McDermott is a New York photojournalist who was behind the lens of a very well-known photograph of a firefighter staring up at the ruins of the Twin Towers right following 9/11. Most recently, he also took a photo of a young boy named Kiki in Haiti. And it's a photo that a lot of y'all have seen if you've been watching the news. It's a little boy who's been pulled out from under the rubble after 7 days. And he's raising his hands up and he's got a smile on his face. In the midst of all that struggle, he has got joy in his soul for being rescued. Matt took that shot. And I want to welcome him to the show. Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. And I want to get into some really important things with you, and I think we've got to start with the most critical and touching one, which is, okay, what do you think about Tiger Woods?
Maybe we got to talk about cookies instead, man.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, do you think that Tiger ate the cookies?
I knew you were going to hit me. I was listening to your show, and they're like, oh, man, I'm following Tiger Woods.
Oh, man, you are stuck in it. Did you hear the press conference?
Yeah, I saw it. I give him credit for getting up there by himself. I don't think the wife should have been there.
Absolutely.
But you know what? Sitting there reading it, I mean, I bet you it said, like, as he's reading the lines, pause. Drop head.
Exactly. Sound heartfelt.
Yeah, exactly. Try to attempt a tear. Rub your eyes.
Yeah.
It's too little, too late is not even enough to be said as far as that went.
Yeah.
I mean, you're really kind of hoping for the guy to do something right here and step forward and man up. And it's like, God, he just keeps digging a bigger hole.
The saddest thing about it for me is I watched it and I just didn't believe it at all. I think he's sorry, literally, that he got caught. I think he's sorry because he's in economic and personal trouble.
I think he's more pissed off that he got caught and dealing with it. I think he's more like, you know what? I'm Tiger Woods, damn it.
Exactly. He's like, I'm Tiger Woods. What are you talking about? Oh, my goodness.
$1 billion, man. I hit the golf ball like no one else ever has in history.
You see what I'm saying? Folks, you're live on the Derrick Ashong Experience. We're talking with Matt McDermott. He is a famous photojournalist. He is an artist. He's got an amazing eye. And we're talking about the eye of the tiger.
And cookies, right on.
And cookies, yo. We are pro cookies on Oprah Radio. At least I am. All right, yo. So, Matt, first of all, tell us, how did you become a photojournalist? I mean, was this something that you were doing on the side? Was it a hobby? Were you inspired as a kid? What moved you to be in the field you're in? Was there a dream of yours as a kid? Did you dream about doing what you do today?
I started in high school, and I had a teacher that really took me under his wing.
Okay.
And I showed some natural talent right away. I mean, my first assignment was just go shoot anything, and I went into this rough area of Hartford. I was grown up in Connecticut.
Okay.
And I just sat and photographed people getting on and off the buses. I mean, I don't know. It's just sort of immediately I gravitated towards photojournalism and documenting what people do. And I could come up with ideas of where I think it came from.
That's great right there. Basically, somebody introduced you to the opportunity, and you felt you had a natural affinity. It was something that came it was almost, it just flowed from you, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time alone as a kid. I had a parent in California, one in Connecticut. I split time, so I spent a lot of time alone in airports and, sitting watching people. And I find the world and people fascinating, and all the good and the bad that we do to each other. Now,
can you explain to those who are listening, what is the difference between a photographer and a photojournalist?
That's more of our own ego, I'd probably have to say.
Photojournalists just think they fly. Like, hey, I'll just take pictures. I tell stories.
Photojournalists, you're trying to separate as far, and no offense to the guys that do this, but like the paparazzi work and, so it's more, I think, of an ego thing to call yourself a photojournalist. But I mean, hey, it's a camera, you're taking pictures. But I mean, photojournalists, we're documenting the world. Yeah. And where a photographer could be, sort of fashion, art, could be, a mixed bag. Photojournalism is just, we're sort of really telling you what we do.
Yeah, well, it's an important distinction because a lot of people take pictures, and some people take very profound and beautiful pictures. It is an art in itself. But what you guys do is you really literally tell stories. Like, we see an image and it says so much without having to have words associated with it. Can you talk to us a little bit about, like, what are some of your favorite images that you've taken, and can you describe them? Keeping in mind that we can't see, them right now. A lot of folks are hearing this on the radio. So how can you tell us about the image, what it shows us, and why it means something to you?
That's a boatload of information with nothing to put in front of somebody.
Exactly.
Right now, Thanks.
we think you're up for the task.
I mean, there's favorite images, but more so there's sort of famous, more of my more favorite moments, as far as like being part of 9/11, being a part of Katrina, being a part of Haiti. I mean, I'm very much sort of in the front seat of the roller coaster of life, and all these things people read about in history books. I'm there on the ground, stepping in it, smelling in it, and taking pictures of it, and living through it. I mean, 9/11. I mean, there was a couple photos from there, obviously, that just that was towards the beginning of my actual professional career, and that really was kind of solidified it for me. I think if 9/11 didn't happen and I wasn't there, I actually probably would have ended up joining the military.
Wow. And is that because you felt like you wanted to do something about it?
Yeah. It's not just 9/11, but I mean joining the military, period. Okay. I'm very much, a man of action. I like being in the middle of what's going on. I like being proactive and being a part of something to help, to assist, to change views, to do something to have an effect on the world while I'm here.
Well, so
go ahead.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I also thought I was going to join the military when I was in high school. I spent like a week or two at West Point, and I was like so focused. I was like, I'm going to fight for freedom and all of these things, and I wound up going in a different path and becoming a different kind of artist. But that,
exactly. You're not kind of the same.
We're both like, yeah, let's go and shoot people or take photos or play guitar. I'm gonna play some guitar.
Like, there's more girls doing this, man.
Yo, dude, you were getting at the heart of the issue, because I went to West Point, and there were like 4 brigades that we had of us students that were learning, and there were 3 that were male and 1 that was female, and basically they were like, well, this is the proportion, it's 25% women, and I was like, yo, I always thought I was cute in high school and everything, but it's just like 4-1 or whatever, 3-1, like those are not good odds.
How am I going to use my cuteness here? Huh?
Exactly. It's not going to work, man. There's a lot of competition. I don't know what to tell you. but
it's funny how, you look back and you're like, God, if I went that direction, how different things would be, or
absolutely.
How different you would be.
But a lady called and talked about destiny, and it's funny how, destiny, things happen, and it's all about what you embrace of what's happening to you. And it's interesting, like, you've embraced the idea that you could literally, capture an image and impact the way that people see the world by showing them something they may not have had a chance to experience for themselves. When you take these shots, do you know that, this is going to be an iconic photo? When you took the photo of the little boy in Haiti, did you know that was going to be big, or does it just happen? Like, what are you thinking in that moment?
I mean, that shot in particular, I mean, I was talking when after we got him, we just, he popped out and it happening so unbelievably fast. And there was a friend of mine standing next to me. We literally had to look in the back of the camera on the screen, the digital screen, to confirm that it happened. And I mean, a shot like that, you do this long enough, you know you got something. Now, I mean, to say iconic, people talking like Pulitzer, that you don't think about. I mean, that's just way too, egotistical. I mean, there's so many people out there doing amazing work, especially in Haiti, but around the world. But you do know you got something, that's for sure.